I led them with cords of kindness, with the bands of love. And I became to them as one who eases the yoke on their jaws, and I bent down to them and fed them.
Shalom, shalom, folks. It's Brother Tyndall from Something to Chew On. Coming in, going to do a read-along update and hopefully give you something to chew on. First off, let me say this to all the subscribers, all the viewers out there. I apologize for not getting this video done, finished, completed, and uploaded to YouTube yesterday. Yesterday was a hectic day. Preparation day is always a hectic day. Friday is always a hectic day for me. I always have my plate full, and it seems here lately it's getting harder and harder to try to do these, and I know what it is. So keep me in your prayers about that. But with that, let's go on. All right, I'm gonna stick around after the update. Update's brief, you know that. And I'm going to try to be brief today, but I'm going to say something that I ask you right now to, pray that the Ruach will keep you humble as you hear what I have to say. Because I do not want this to come across the wrong way. I do not want this to sound as if it is a message of condemnation. If anything, let it be a message of conviction. But most importantly, let it be an exhortation, an encouragement to spur you, me, and all of us on unto good works, as it says in the book of Hebrews. But with that, let me do this update, and then I'll get to it. Okay, last week, the winner of the vote was 2 Kings. I got those finished, no problem. They've already been uploaded. I think I did all that I think I finished that out on Wednesday, is when I finished the videos, and then I finished uploading them to YouTube. And I'll say this. Well, hang on, I'll get to it. And the vote last week on the table. The vote last week was between Judges and Ecclesiastes. Well, Ecclesiastes won. Hands down won, and everything. So, between now and next Friday, most high willing, I will make the videos for the Ecclesiastes read-along playlist, and I'll get all them uploaded to YouTube, which shouldn't be any issues. Because Ecclesiastes only got 12 chapters, and the chapters themselves are not very long. I looked, and they're not very long, so I estimate it'll probably take me, if I sit down and just go at it, I can probably have the entire thing finished, all the videos made and completed in about an hour. Now, to turn around and upload them to YouTube shouldn't take that long. But here's what I was going to say before. I've noticed in the past couple of weeks, YouTube, along with other Google services, have been slow. Like when I go to upload a video, it don't take long. The upload's no problem. It's the processing of for those of you who know anything about putting videos on YouTube, you upload it, and that's all depending on your internet speed. But once it gets there, YouTube has to process it. Well, it's taking YouTube. It seems to me, I may be wrong. You may not. Nobody else may be experiencing it, but it seems as if YouTube is taking a little bit longer than normal to process the videos. And I have my suspicions as to why a lot of people are utilizing YouTube more. Whether there's more people watching content, or there's more people uploading videos, creating videos, because of the quote unquote COVID. We'll just leave it at that. We'll leave it at that. But more people are using the service, and it's kind of bogging it down. That's the way I see it. But I've noticed the past couple of weeks when I try to upload these videos, it's taking longer than normal. So, with that said, but anyway, Ecclesiastes is short. It's 12 chapters. Each chapter is pretty short. It shouldn't take long. Most high willing, I'll have those done by next Friday. Hopefully, I'll have them done, within the next couple of days. Okay. Now, with that said, I guess I gave it away, didn't I? The vote on the table this week, judges just nobody, it never can win. I keep putting it on there as an option, and it gets voted to, and that's about it. So I'm putting it back on the table. Back on the table this week again. Judges or Nehemiah. There's your choices of which read-along update or read-along playlist video I make. Next, Judges or Nehemiah. Vote in the comments below. Okay, now with all that said, there's that deal. Here's the thing. I'm not sure exactly how to say this. I'll put it this way. Anytime that I've had to speak, I may have mentioned this in a video last week. I don't think. I know I mentioned it to a friend of mine, and I told them this. I said, anytime I have to speak, I'm asked to speak in front of people or, something like this or whatever, you go into, an attitude of prayer, a posture of prayer in order to, what should I talk about? What is it that you want me to say? What is it you want me to say? Right? And always for me, it's always like this for me. It's always the last minute when the answer comes. This is what you need to talk about. Well, when I find out, then I go and, I can stay in a posture of prayer, but I'm like, okay, what do you want me to say? Exactly. How do you want me to present this information? And I never exactly know how to say these things. And like I said, I do not want this to come across as a message of condemnation. Like I say, if anything, a message of conviction, exhortation, and encouragement. Because, like I said, I was guilty of this. It's just something I didn't know because I didn't know. I was ignorant. Okay? And a lot of people out there, I'm not trying to call anybody ignorant, but a lot of people, they just don't know because they've never been in this situation. And this is something I'm going to try to explain. And I hope this does not come across the wrong way. Please pray that Ruach will give you humility and to hear what I'm trying to say in the spirit that I'm trying to deliver this. Because like I said, I'm not trying to step on anybody's toes. I'm not trying to offend anybody. But, anyway, let's just go into this. Where do I start? How do I start? I'll give you a brief testimony for those who may not know. I'll take my glasses off for this so you can see my face a little bit better. For those of you who don't know, I do not hide this. I do not cover it up. This is my past. This is where I came from. I praise Yah. I've been delivered out of this pit of mud and mire. I graduated high school in 1992. I joined the United States Marine Corps immediately after that. I spent my summer doing whatever, and when everybody went back to school that time, I went to boot camp. Okay, I served my 4 years, honorable, discharged, but when I got out, I fell into the pit of drugs and alcohol. We'll just put it that way. We're not going to glorify those. We're going to glorify what was done by the Most High through me. But I fell into that pit for years, and I wallowed in it. And I was homeless. And I tell people this. I was homeless pretty much for a decade of my life. Sleeping on friends' couches, this, that, living on the streets, whatever. And I was in and out of homeless shelters. And here in the South, where I'm from, Birmingham, Alabama, the homeless shelters here, like a lot of them around the United States, they are members of what's known as the Association of Gospel Rescue Missions. Basically, that's a big fancy word for it's a quote-unquote Christ-centered 12-step program. You see what I'm saying? You go into these homeless shelters, and a lot of them, it just depends. It depends on how each one of them set up. Some of them are set up to where it doesn't cost you anything. It costs you nothing to go. Some of them, you go in and you stay, and then at the latter half of your program, when you get a job, you pay back into it basically the room and board for the the time that you were there doing all the classes. Does that make sense? Whatever. But the one I went to, it was completely free. But what a lot of people don't realize with these things is you go in there and first off, most people who are homeless, they have slid into a state of they don't have any responsibility and all this. So one of the things they train you to do in these homeless shelters is responsibility. So you have 12-step classes, which are, like AA, NA, if anybody's familiar, 12 steps basically. But they put quote unquote Christ back in it. They make them Bible centered. They orientate them around biblical principles, which is what AA was originally supposed to be anyway, before political correctness reared its ugly head. But we won't go down that road. That's for a different day. And then they had Bible study classes and discipleship, all this kind of stuff, right? Okay, with all that said, I went through this program. It was a year long. After I did this year-long, basically discipleship program, the facility itself, because they had just started this type program, like what most people say, that's a rehab. Well, yeah, it is for the lay person who knows nothing. The outsider who looks in on the homeless shelter, they just, that's a rehab. Well, yes, it is, but it's not your stereotypical rehab because they base it off of this. Now, I'll say this. Granted, most of these places are not Torah centered. Does that make sense? They don't. It's Christ centered. It's like anything. They don't understand the concept of Torah. So, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. But I was there. I did a year-long internship, or I did a year-long discipleship program, the rehab part of it, if you will. Then they asked me, because they had just started this, they asked me if I wanted to do an internship, which was another year. So I was in between a program man and a staff member, kind of an in-between liaison. And in that year-long internship, they had me work in every aspect of this place. And I got to see how everything worked. And I was in charge of the kitchen. So I had to interact with all these, people that brought food donations and all these ministries that brought donations. I had to interact with them. I worked in what we basically put the clothing closet when people would donate clothes or whatever. I had to interact with those people and then ministries that would donate clothes. And, I had to sort through all this stuff. I worked in the laundry. I actually cooked. I cooked a lot of meals in that place, where a lot of mouths were fed by my hands, if y'all can believe that. But anyway, with all this said, I learned something. And I'm going to share a picture, and I'm going to read part of the post that a friend shared with me. And then what I responded to, and that's where I'm going with this. So let me bring this picture up real quick. Okay, I'm going to bring this up, and I'm going to just read something, and then I'm going to talk about something really, really brief. Notice what it says. It says socks are the most needed but least donated article of clothing in a homeless shelter. And as a man who has been on that end of the spectrum, I will totally agree with that, for the most part. Underwear, actually, is the most needed. Underwear, followed by a close second of socks, are the most needed things in a homeless shelter. But here's the post. The post that this come from, it says this. It just says, somebody posted this picture and I had the words. It says, every year I remind you guys of this because I think that it is important. Socks are the most needed but least donated article of clothing in homeless shelters. Temperatures are going down, but the number of people in the shelters is going up. And then they go on to say, consider knitting a pair of socks, adding a little tag that says handmade, and including a little note and prayer to your donated socks. Makes sense? Okay. And like I said, I totally agree with this because Hang on a second. Let me get all this stuff adjusted up here. Okay. Nope. That's not right. There we go. Okay. Sorry about that. I'm trying to get it set up, the slide set up for the next transition. But like I said, before I was actually homeless and in the homeless shelter, I never realized that. Socks and underwear, like I say, underwear mostly, but socks also, are the most needed but least donated thing in a homeless shelter. But when I became homeless and I was in the homeless shelter, and you need a pair of socks, especially because it's getting cold outside, and you go to the clothes closet where, you go in, you're in a homeless shelter, they got a huge closet full of clothes. And it just depends on how the shelter works, but they'll have, the shirts, and it's like going into a clothing store. They have it, and they separate them by size and all that, and they have socks and hats and gloves and work boots for the guys who need that, and backpacks and whatever you need. They got it all in this one big closet area, or however they have it set up. But you go in there because you need a pair of socks, and guess what? The guy running the clothes closet, he goes, "Hey man, I hate to tell you, but we ain't got no socks." They got thousands of suits and dress pants and all this kind of stuff, but they don't have socks. And this is the part that I don't want to step on anybody's toes. And I'm going to tell you why. And I see this. And I know from experience from being on that side of it. It's because most people, when they donate as an afterthought. They don't donate with a purposeful effort to donate. Their donation is an afterthought. Now, don't get me wrong. Those places appreciate that. And I did too. Hey, we'll take anything. But you don't have a lot of people who consciously make the effort to, hey, let's go donate to the homeless shelter. Okay? So what happens is people will donate out of their excess. As in, their grandfather dies, and they'll take all his clothes, and they'll take them down to the homeless shelter. Instead of throwing them away or whatever, it's easier on that person. They just take all those clothes and take them to the homeless shelter, or take them to the thrift store. And granted, like I said, hey, they appreciate it. They really, really do. But how often, think about this. Let me ask you as the audience a question. Would you want to wear someone else's previously worn underwear or their previously worn socks? Socks, yeah, wash them. Hey, I see no problem with it. As long as they're not worn out and got holes in them and they're filthy and stained, no problem. But honestly, would you want to wear the same underwear somebody else has worn, even after they've been washed? Most likely, no. Now, you might think, well, these people, beggars can't be choosers, so to speak. I understand that. I really do. But most people have the mindset of, because they wouldn't want to wear someone else's underwear, they won't donate someone else's underwear. And even if they do, a lot of times people don't want to wear that. I'm just being honest with you. And like food, for example. Do you know how many, one homeless shelter I was in, we had corn. Now, let me take that back. I ain't going to say corn. Green beans. Green beans at least one time a day, whether it be at lunch or at dinner. We had green beans at least once a day. Why? Because everybody has cans of green bean in their cupboard. And when they, hey, let's donate to the homeless shelter, they go look in their cupboard, and most people have got a surplus of cans of green bean, and they donate out of their excess. They take those cans that have all those extras of, and they take them to a homeless shelter. And hey, like I said, there's nothing wrong with that at all. But it's like it's an afterthought. They don't make a conscious effort. Hey, let's donate. Let's think about this. What should we donate? What do they need? So nobody ever makes the effort to like go down to Walmart or Target or wherever, it doesn't matter, and buy packs of brand new socks and or brand new underwear and take them to the homeless shelter. They always donate, well, this don't fit me anymore, so let's give it to the homeless shelter. And there's nothing wrong with that. Don't get me wrong. But they never make the effort to actually purposely donate. Let's go buy some stuff that I know they're going to need, socks and underwear. And it's no fault of anybody's. It's just they never thought about it. They've never been in this situation. Nobody's ever told them. Well, guess what? I'm telling you now. This is the time of year, like the post said, the temperatures are going down, but the people in the homeless shelters are going up. And socks and underwear, they need those things. Among other things, don't get me wrong. Okay, now I'm going to share one verse with you. I'm going to make this quick. I gave you all that, and I'm going to share one verse with you. Let me bring this up on the screen. It's Proverbs 19:17. Right here, you can see this. This is from the King James. I'm not going to go very long. I say all that. That's what I wanted to say. Now I'm going to show you something in the Scripture that kind of hits on exactly the humbling yourself in order to donate to people. Don't make it, it's an afterthought. We got it. It's the Christmas season. That's what you hear that. All these people donate during Thanksgiving and Christmas because they ain't done anything, so they want to do it all now. Maybe make an effort and do it on, every month, every quarter. Donate. Save up your tithes and go donate. Makes sense? But anyway, let's look at this one verse. This is Proverbs 19:17. This is from King James. This says, he that hath pity upon the poor lendeth unto Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh. And that which he hath given will he pay him again. Okay, now let's look at something. I just want to look at this one thing. I'm going to bring this up in the King James Plus. And you see the little purple numbers. That shows you the Strong's number, right? And that phrase at the very beginning says, he that hath pity. It says, it's Strong's number right here above my mouse, H2603. Now let's actually look that up and see what it says. Okay? I'm going to go up here to the dictionary, and it's going to bring it up. Now look at this right here. Look at right here what it says. Properly, to bend or stoop in kindness to an inferior. Meaning I'm going to say this as nice as I can, to get off your high horse and step down into the trenches and help somebody. To make a purposeful effort to give, to donate, to be kind, I don't like the way it says inferior, but somebody less fortunate. We'll put it that way. Do you see what I'm saying? That's when it actually counts. It reminds me of the story of the widow and the two mites. The master's sitting there and he tells his disciples, you see all the rich people coming in and they're donating out of their excess. That's the way some translations have it. And then you see the widow come in and she gives her 2 mites or her 2 pennies or however your translation swears it. And the master, Yeshua, he says, that lady gave more than all them put together. Why? Because they gave out of their excess. But she gave all that she had to live on. Okay, now I'm not saying go broke into donating to people, but I'm simply saying make a conscious effort when you donate. We all donate clothes and green beans and corn. No problem. And they're going to get used. But there are things that if you've never been in the situation, you don't realize that they need also. Socks, underwear. Here's you another one. And I used to tell people this. A lot of people I know, they wake up, me, I do. When I wake up in the morning, I like a cup of coffee. Coffee costs money. Do you see where I'm going with this? Think of the things that the creature, what do they call them? Creature comforts that you like in your daily life. And then remember, these people in a homeless shelter are human beings also, and they like those creature comforts as well. And a lot of these homeless shelters do not have the money to buy a lot of this. If they have money, they spend it on necessities. A lot of these quote-unquote luxury types items, they never get. And those things are what express love, if that makes any sense. Buy one of them big tubs of coffee, and donate. Pack of socks. That's when I donate to these homeless shelters, underwear, socks, and a big, huge thing of coffee. Usually 2 or 3 of those things of coffee because, how many people are in homeless shelters? There's a lot of people, and they go through that coffee right quick in a hurry. Like, does that make sense? Like I said, I'm not trying to condemn anybody, but perhaps convict you. And think about it. Don't let your donations to a homeless shelter just be, let's go do our good deed and donate. And we're just going through the motions. Consciously and purposely think about it. And go, you know what? It's cold out. Socks, underwear. Let's actually go to the store and buy some. Like David said in Chronicles. I will not sacrifice to my Elohim something that does not cost me anything. A person giving the clothes they can't wear anything, that didn't really cost you anything. Somebody giving your excess of cans of green beans, that didn't really cost you anything. Do you see where I'm going with this? And believe me, I used to not understand this until I was humbled and I was made homeless and I was on that side of it and I seen it. And I tried so hard to these people that donated to be nice about it, but to point these things out to them. Socks, underwear, coffee, cleaning products. That's something that the homeless shelters have to spend a lot of their money on. Cleaning products, bleach, paper towels, toilet paper, all these things. Things like that. You see what I'm saying? That's where a lot of their money goes. But I'll leave it at that. That's the whole point. It's just make a conscious effort. Like it says, bend or stoop in kindness. I put it, like I said, I ain't trying to be harsh. I'm not trying to be condemning. But sometimes get off the high horse and get into the trenches and see. And like I say, I say all that, and I'll say this. Check out the homeless shelter in your local area. Build a relationship with these people. And, that is always an outlet of giving. And believe me, you go look all through your Bible, the poor, give to the poor, give to the poor. Those people would be considered, quote unquote, the poor. That is highly favored in the eyes of the Most High, giving to those. The fatherless, the widows, the poor. Didn't Yeshua say, you'll always have the poor, right? But like I say, build a relationship with the homeless shelter in your area. Get to know these people. And, perhaps consider giving to them on a regular basis. Not just one time of the year, but giving, save up a little bit every month. However, you want to do this, but give. All right. Now, with that said, I've got a giving link. If you scroll down through the description of this video and every video I make, there's a GoFundMe link. If you so feel led, by all means, go ahead. But I'm not asking for you to donate to me. But if you want to, hey, I know what these places need. And I have a relationship with a homeless shelter here in town. Why? Because I used to live there. I still keep in touch with those people. And I call them up and I'm like, hey, what do y'all need right now? And they know me. They're like, yeah, we need this, this, and this, and this. I'm like, I got you. I'll go. And when people do donate money, that's most often what it goes to. Most of the time it goes straight to that homeless shelter. Maybe buying them socks and underwear, if nothing else. You see what I'm saying? So like I say, you can either donate to me with the link below or help out these homeless shelters in your area, especially in this cold weather. Does that make sense? I pray that that was received in the spirit that it was given in. But with that, I'll say this. Just remember, next week, or the vote on the table, Judges or Nehemiah. And with that, I'll end this video like I end every video. Don't just read this thing, but chew on it. Shalom, shalom, folks.